This is Your Own Best Company, a podcast for people who love to work alone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Own Best Company. My name is Franklin Taggart. This is a podcast for people who love working alone, and I am one of you. And it's a way to celebrate and encourage people who love to have a room with a door where they can be alone with their tools and make really great magical things happen. My guest today is someone I've met recently. Camille is the founder of Natural Life Business Partnership and the creator of the Soul Professional Society. We're going to be learning a little bit about those today. She's also an Amazon best-selling author and the mom of 3 deliberate creators. We're going to be going into some deliberate creation discussion today as well. Camille, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
I'm delighted. I really enjoyed our conversation when we met a couple of weeks ago, and it was just, I felt very energized after we had talked, and I think there were so many places where I just felt a certain kind of a kinship with the things that you're doing and who you are. Can you tell me a little bit about how did you arrive where you are today?
Oof, that's a long one.
Is it? Well, that's okay. We got time.
Yeah, I'll give you the condensed version. So I was a strategic, really administrator for not-for-profits. My job before I created NLBP, was I was the CEO for the Northeast Organic Farming Association in the state of New Jersey. And I later became president of the entire Northeast, which put me in Washington working on our food and farming system and mostly the organic label.
Right.
And it was there that I met so many, what I call now soul-aligned individuals that just were very passionate about who they are. They believed in alternative medicine. They kind of just lived life with this full passion. And it was the first job that allowed me to bring my whole self to work, right? So I was an executive, but I also was this holistic being, and they totally respected who I was. Like, for the first time, I didn't have to wear suits. I was like, this is just kind of weird. Like, I'm at a board meeting, everyone's wearing jeans. Like, it was, so it took some adjusting for me. But that I was there for a number of years. And when that job ended in 2015, it was actually defunded by the USDA. I found myself kind of searching for, like, what's next in life, because I felt such passion around what I was doing, right? So like I was really making an impact in the world. So after that, I was like, okay, what's next? Like, I really found out that money was no longer my motivator. I didn't need the fancy title and the stuff. It totally transformed who I was, because I was so aligned with my work, that I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. And it was huge to me. It was just such a change in my life and a shift that was happening. So as I was kind of searching for that next thing in life, I went through a divorce. But I also, when I went to business organizations, I found that they were very assertive, very, what can I get from you? And if you ever talked about my woo-woo side, they're like, yeah, you're not for me. That's not it. But if I went to holistic organizations, they were way too woo-woo for me and not really grounded in business. And I felt like I didn't have any professional credibility there. And I love the idea of being called a professional and having credibility and going for the things I want in life. Like, I'm proud of who I am. I love what I've accomplished. And I want to hang out with people like me, right? That nourish their soul, but they happen to be powerful too. And that's okay. So I ended up kind of by default starting this coffee club, and the Natural Life Business Partnership, that's where it got its name, because I was like, okay, we live a natural life, we're in business, people come together. And just kind of going around telling people, hey, what if there was a professional organization that was like the American Medical Association or the Bar Association, but it was for soul aligned entrepreneurs that were co creating all over the world and building these empires and building wealth and changing the world on this new paradigm of kindness and generosity and not feeling the competition, but wanting us all to succeed. And everyone was like, "Yay, me too!" So that's how I ended up starting what we have today. But of course, it had like high highs and low lows.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead.
I have a couple of questions about it.
Yeah.
Did the Natural Life Business Partnership start out? I mean, the coffee club, did that start out as an in-person gathering?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you still have in-person things like that, or is it all kind
So
of moved over to virtual?
yeah, so it's a little bit of both. So we started out as in person. I live in New Jersey on the northeast side of the United States. And we quickly, like within a year, it was New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, and we just started building and building. And I was doing all of this traveling, but I'm a single mom. I had 3 kids full time. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so not sustainable. Like,
Yeah.
how am I growing this baby? Right. And everyone was joining, so I didn't know really what to do. And we'd have these meetings all the time, and people were gathering, and it was fabulous, but it wasn't really sustainable. So in the end of 2017, I got a call from someone in California that said, "Oh my God, I can't wait for you to get out here." And I was like, "Oh crap, I am never getting out there. So what am I doing now?" But I was very lucky, and I heard of this thing called Zoom. And I was like, you know what? I really feel that that's where the world is going. Like someday we are going to have businesses that run on Zoom. So I took a big leap of faith and changed the organization and launched in January of 2018 as the first, at that point, just national professional organization with no chapters, completely online. So you can meet people all over the world and kind of learn this new paradigm way of doing business as entrepreneurs and gathering. We lost a lot of people that were like, no, the world is not going in this direction.
Yeah.
It's not personal anymore. But we gained a lot of other ones, right? So it was kind of this shift that happened. We've had a number of shifts
Yeah.
like that where we've lost a bunch of people and new people came in and we kind of grew. That was our biggest one. But I was just so knowing that this is where the world was going. So I obviously we went bi-coastal overnight, right? So we went national. By 2019, we went international. By 2020, we decided to go to a high-end model because I felt when people really invested in themselves, they gave back to others and they had more of that give first attitude that we're looking for. And 30 days later, we were in this global pandemic that you might remember.
Oh, that.
Yeah, but we didn't have to pivot at all because
You were already there.
we were there. We had all the structure. The only thing that really almost kiboshed me was I was a one-woman team, right? And I was like, crap, I had created my own website. Like I had done just kind of everything in the flow. But as we started to grow and people were like, oh my God, I've been watching you. And then is where I really had to shift. And that's where we, by the end of 2020, we branded the word soul professional. And that's someone who lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. And we've really grown from that moment. But it took a lot of, where are we going here? Where are we going here? And then people would leave. I would say the East Coast still, especially in New Jersey, we still meet. We have an East Coast hiking group that me and another member run because I love hiking. And I was like, hey, if you want to hike with me, we're good. And as you know, we just started Soul Adventures as our newest division of the company, so people can travel all over the world and really have these soul-based excursions.
The second question that I had for you, Camille, as you were speaking, it actually it strikes me, so many people that I know who have gone through transitions like the one that you described, where you really are going into a pretty high level of self-discovery and self-actualization, particularly in regard to your work. And I know of so many people whose primary relationships have shifted or ended in those transitions, or as a part of that, or anything like that. I'm curious about your thought about that. Was there a difference in the way that you were going, a different direction that you started going?
Yeah. It started earlier, but I think it was really brought together when I had my last job, right? When I was really in the flow, when I was feeling it, it was just so much of who I was, and I just couldn't deny it, right? And I was with spiritual people, and in the beginning, I remember asking people like, "What is this high that I feel when I'm
Yeah.
in it?" But then I go home and I resonate for a while, and they're like, "Oh, that's called vibration, and this is how it happens." And I'm like, "Oh, I kind of want to be there all the time." They're like laughing, "Yeah, that doesn't work that way because you're human." So I definitely dove into that pretty deep, but and still learning, like still
Right.
so learning. Like I look at other people and I'm like, I want to be like that. But I am who I am, right? I'm a recovering control addict. I'm very, very logical, very, very scientific, very, so the spiritual side of me has always been a little bit of conflict. Now I totally embrace it, right? Because I know that it actually all comes together,
Right.
right? I know that there is all the science behind the soul. But I was conflicted probably in the beginning, but I think you shed who you need to. Like I think that's what's wrong with social media, by the way. Right? On Facebook, we are friends with people that we should not be friends with
Oh yeah.
because we should have shedded them in high school, in college, and wherever it was. They're not supposed to be in our lives. And I think social media keeps us connected with the people we're not supposed to be connected with. Right. So I also find soul and people usually don't do a lot of social media because of that, right? But they don't know what's happening. But it's because you're staying aligned with toxic people that you should have shedded. But I think in everyone's life, you're supposed to grow. You're supposed to grow out of people, right? Because you become who you surround yourself with. And I have absolutely shedded relationships, and I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah.
I just it's just a part of who I am, and I'm always eager to find out who's next, right?
Yeah.
Who's next? Who am I going to meet next, and why? And I believe that they're brought to me when I'm supposed to know them. But the hardest part is kind of ending them. But I feel very strongly like when it's done, it's done, and I'm kind of okay with it. So yeah, you have to shed to grow. And when I align myself, and that's a lot about what our community is, right? I love what Denzel Washington says, and these aren't the exact words, but if you hang around with five intelligent people, you become the sixth, right? If you hang
Right.
around five confident people, you become the sixth. If you hang around five millionaires, you become the sixth. Well, it also works in reverse, right? If you hang around five struggling entrepreneurs, you also become the sixth, right? You hang around toxic people, you become the, like, it's who you surround yourself with that I think is the most important thing in the world. So I'm a creator too. I've always been creative. Um, but I never looked at it was just a piece of me, but I didn't also look at it as being professionally who I was, right? And as my kids grew up, I strongly encourage them to just be who you are, because if you always live in your passion, you'll make money. Um, and my oldest wanted to go to film school, and we thought she was going to be a doctor. And like there was all of these things, and every single one of them are in the arts. The one that we thought was going to be a doctor is now a historic costume designer. But she gets calls from all over the world to and these amazing jobs, and I'm like, this is so cool. Right? And my thing with my kids is always, I have to be your plus one. If you're on the red carpet, you do anything big in this world, I am always your plus one. But I find that there's so many parents that don't encourage their kids to follow their dreams. They're just saying like, you can't make money doing that. And one of the very best things is when my oldest was in high school, actually, I think it was sophomore, junior, I forget, when she decided to go to film school, and her guidance counselor was trying to talk her out of it and just be like, you'll never make money. Like, this is not. And she's like, yeah, well, how did Steven Spielberg do?
Yeah. Right.
Right. And I was like, that was perfect, because who is she to tell you you will not make money? Right. And it's such like a belief system that we all create for ourselves because we're told that creatives don't make money, or like the starving artist. Like you have to be starving to be an artist. There are plenty of people that make a lot of money being artists. I have someone in my family that travels all over the world.
Yep.
She's in her 80s. She travels all over the world, and she's an incredible artist teaching in Italy and teaching. She has a wonderful life. I would love that life for my children, right? So it's really this fake belief system of that you can't be successful because there's a lot of creative. So it's really just about following your dreams, and I encourage my kids to just do it. And as my twins are coming out of college now, and they're like, well, I don't know. What if we don't find jobs? And I was like, but you will. I was like, my goal was always in 2 years, you move up or you move out. Like if you don't like it, if you haven't increased your knowledge, your base, your friends, then you move out. Like, and then you just do something else. I was like, you will figure it out. Your path is not linear, right? And especially for creatives, and having all of these. That's another thing in business, right? Because I help people with strategy, and they're always like, I just have to pick one thing. I was like, no, you don't. You can have all of these things. That's what we call multiple streams of revenue. You can have all of these pet projects. You can do it. Like, I advise people not always to go wide, because sometimes they do it from a lack mindset, not from a creative mindset. There's a total difference there, right? If you're doing it from lack, like I have to put out one more program because the 10 people won't buy this, right? Have one program for each of these 10 people. That is not the way to do it. But I think people are more embracing today their creative sides. And I love deliberate creators. Someone had said it in a presentation, and I just wrote it down and started using it. I was like, I'm a deliberate creator. I know I'm a creative, and I love it. That's the best part of what I do.
Abraham Hicks, and, all of the work that they've
Yes, now
done
that you
around
say
law of
it.
attraction. The
Yeah.
first time that I ever heard deliberate creation used in that combination of words was from them, but I've since heard it from a number of other sources. But that's a fascinating subject. I'm really curious. What does that look like for you as you have crafted this new direction and new business for yourself?
So I don't really have an end game, right?
Okay.
So being a deliberate creator is I just allow things to open, like doors open, windows open, like and just follow paths that feel good for me. I actually, something just happened. I don't even know if I told you. Like I did an impulse buy, and I'm moving. Like literally an impulse buy. I decided, you know what, I think I'm ready to move. And I told all my kids, I think I want to move in a year as you graduate college. So let's start thinking things out this summer and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know. Like it felt like less than a week later, I was kind of looking around like, what's my house worth? What's it like? Just kind of it, because once that thought goes in, right? You're definitely like you're in. So I was literally at my beach house, and I was like looking like I'd like to live here full time. I think this is it. What do things cost? And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how it happened. I found this condo, which is 30 miles north of where I live.
Yeah.
And my goal was from my house, I live in a 100-year plus old house. I want to live in a townhouse so I can travel more.
Nice.
And I found this townhouse that's fairly new. I wouldn't be the first owner, it'd be the second. And I was just like, this is it. I call up and I'm like, how do I see this house? And I was very honest. I was like, I don't think I'm in the market, but I really want to just see it because it just feels right. In a town I had no idea anything about. Long story short, I went up, I saw it for 20 minutes, put in a bid, got it. Went into this incredible bidding war, like crazy bidding war, and I got it. And now I'm putting my whole house up for sale. Like my whole life is changing. But as everything started to shift and I'm starting to clear out, I was like, you know what? I was in my survival house. Like I had to survive, and I had to bring 3 kids here full time. And I created this survival life for me as I created all of this other stuff.
Yeah.
But this new house and all about it, the next chapter is to nourish my soul. I call it my luxury lifestyle. Like I'm ready to nourish my soul, right? Because I want to travel. And now I have this house that allows me to turnkey to just leave, right? I have a townhouse. They take care of everything for me. And as it started to happen, I stopped doing one-on-one work probably back in 2020, 2021, like a long time ago. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't do it anymore. And all these people started calling me, people I did not know, who heard of me through someone I did not know. And I'm like, this is really weird. They're like, I heard you did strategy work. And I was like, I do strategy work. Like, let me tell you, that was 5 clients ago, and it's been a week and a half. It was like, I was just like, I guess universe just opened this window. Like, because I was like, what am I going to do? How do I pay for this big move? It
Right.
was like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, I guess I'm back to strategy work. But I love strategy work because that brings out the creative in me. Like, you tell me what you can do in life, and I'll make a business from it. And I just love doing that. I like creating businesses. I don't like running them.
You said you don't have an end game, and I really relate to that because one of the things that I've learned over and over and over again in my life is that if I'm really striving and putting all of this effort into trying to figure things out and um and really craft like this 1 year, 3 year, 5 year kind of a
Yeah.
goal oriented thing, that's when I'm usually at my most frustrated. But the thing that I loved about your story was that you didn't really go to the beach with moving there as a goal. You found that when you were there that, hey, this feels like another step in my best life.
Yes.
Now what? And it's like all of a sudden you were just able to allow so many things to fall into place for that because your desire was so pure and it was so in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to that. And what I'm curious about is as you strategize with people, is there a way that you can bring that quality to the strategy work where it's like you're not doing a hard and fast goal, but
Yeah.
you're really being clear in the moment about the desire at the time?
Yes. And I think that's what's different about my strategy work. So, because I was talking to a friend about it, and they're like, every time we say strategy, I feel like it's such masculine energy. And I was like, yeah, that's so not really me. But I'm very logical,
Yeah.
right? But I'm also hearing the words you're saying. When I say, just, so I always start with, describe your ultimate life to me. And we start there.
Yeah.
Because they'll talk about, well, 10 years from now, I want to be living in Italy and I want to do all these things. And I'm like, okay, so let's do that now. And they're like, no, like that's my no, 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 we're doing that now. Like, what do you like? Why are we waiting 10 years? Like, you should never. I learned this from a book. I think it was Atomic Habits. I'm not 100% sure. It said you don't stack your desires on top of each other.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, right? So, like if that's where you want to go, like my vision board, right? If that's where you want to go, like travel. I wanted to originally live in Italy. I now know that that's where I'm not gonna. That's not my end game. Um, but originally it was just like, I just got to start to travel, right? So it was like, okay, every 2 months, let's do a trip. It doesn't have to be a big trip. Let's do a trip. It's like, so it's taking those baby steps and giving yourself permission to do so. But when I strategize, I'm listening to what the people are telling me, right? And if they're like, I hate this, and in my sessions, I was talking to someone yesterday, um, they're like, I need social media and I need this. And I was like, why do you need that? Like, why do you think you need that? You just finished telling me how much you hate it. Why is that on your business plan?
Yeah.
Right? And I always say, we're putting a structure, but the whole structure is fluid. Next year, the structure may not fit you, right?
Yeah.
Because you can only attract who you were 2 years ago. So as you grow, right, that's why we went from a beginning society to a high-end society. Now we have $1 million people because that's where I went. I needed those people, right? So we grow as you grow, your business grows and everything around you grows and the people you attract grow. So it has to constantly be changing. So if I don't actually have a 2 year, 3 year, 5 year business plan.
Yeah.
I have a word of the year.
I love that.
And that's what I live up to. And this year was expansion.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. It was in friends, it was in business. I forget what the other one was. There were 3 areas, but it was just kind of, taking chances to expand,
It's
and
amazing.
yeah, and look at me, I'm getting a new house, I'm changing everything, right? I
Yeah.
changed my business, I'm changing where I'm living, I'm changing everything around me in that expansion. So I choose it, and we do that in the community too. I don't make anyone who chooses to pick a word of the year, and then I live, and all of my focus and goals are around like, is this in my plan? Right? I call it mission creeping. So in the not-for-profit world, you have a mission, right? Most businesses also have a mission, but when you go off that mission, it's called mission creeping.
Yeah.
What I always say is, this part of my mission? So it's in alignment with my word. Is this part of my word, or am I mission creeping?
Very cool. Well, this is exciting work that you're doing,
Thank
and
you.
must just be thrilling to see it unfold the way it is. You just mentioned that a few years ago you had made the decision to not do as many one-on-one clients, and
Yeah.
yet that was the door that just recently opened that made the house possible. Was there any resistance to going back to that at all?
No. As soon as like I literally got a call out of the blue. Like, I think it was an email of so and so introduced me and said you're the person to talk to. And the person that they named, I didn't know either. And I'm like, this is interesting. But I was like, yeah, let's jump on a call. Let me see how I can help you. Right. So I don't put expectations to anything. I've
Yeah.
learned that, right? That's part of attraction. Like, I don't expect an outcome. I don't know. And when this, it's really been this new house of, when I talk energy shifting like you can't believe, right? And being able to say, I don't think we're a good fit. Really isn't going to work out for me.
Yeah.
Right? Is such beauty. And I actually, I text one of my friends. It's like, for the first time in my life, I have no fear around money or doing it. I just know it's going to be. Like, this is like a wild ride.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so as it started to come, and then like it wasn't that first one, it was like the next 5 calls, and I'm like, this is a week and a half, and I have like all of it, and I was like, clearly this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just allow it to run its course.
Well, it's so exciting. Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Me too, because I don't know what's going to come out of it.
No.
I have no idea. I just allow it to run its course.
Camille, talk to me a little bit about, like, we've kind of touched on deliberate creation and its relationship
Mhm.
to the law of attraction. I'm really curious about how you would how you would characterize or describe your experience of the law of attraction.
So I think I said you attract who you were 2 years ago, and it took me a while to learn that in life, right? But I do believe that like-minded energies hang out together, right? So if you're in the energy of abundance, you attract abundance. If you're in the energy of lack, you will struggle.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm a big believer, but I will say it is so hard sometimes to keep your vibration. Like, when things are rough, it's really hard to be thinking, it's not rough, it's not rough, it's not rough. Like, law of attraction, I believe it with all of my heart, but it's not as easy as sometimes people think it is or say it is, right? And I'm always talking to entrepreneurs like, I'm in flow, I just know it. And I'm like, you have no action steps. Sitting in your house, no one's knocking on your door giving you work. That is not in flow. You still have to work.
Yeah.
Right. It's just allowing opportunities and being able to see it. It's like a reflection in a mirror, right? That, and if you're attracting things you don't want, you also have to look in the mirror,
Yeah.
right? When I divorced and started dating, I was attracting the same type of person, and I was like, okay, clearly this is a me problem. So let me work on me and my love, my self-love, before I go back out there. So it was, you can only attract who you are. So if you're not attracting what you want in life, it's because you're not that person yet. But
Yeah.
hard work. This is not easy work. Manifesting, when people say, oh my God, I manifest so much. And I had a coach that literally helped me understand that. She was like, Camille, you manifest everything you want in life. Like, I've never seen it. She's like, but you have like one area that you're stuck in and you can't. She's like, it's not possible for you not to manifest everything. So she goes, it has to be a subconscious belief. It has to be, because you manifest in every area of your life. And that was like a hard nut, like, you're right.
Yeah.
Let me go back and think about that. You're right. So, yeah.
I'm really curious, as you've learned more and experienced more with things like deliberate creation and the law of attraction, what are some of the misunderstandings that you had to get rid of about those things as you went along?
That it's an outward force in any way, right? Because
Yeah.
it's all inner work. Inner work creates your outer success. That it's easy. It is not easy.
No.
It is hard work. It is really hard work to do the inner work. And I don't think it's something that you accomplish quick, right? I've been doing this for years and I'm
Yeah.
still learning and still developing and still people. And I once had a girlfriend's like, I think about it all the time and I'm wishing. And I was like, yeah, that's not law of attraction.
No,
Just wishing
different
and
thing.
wanting is actually the opposite. You are literally pushing it away from you because
Yeah.
you're telling the universe, I wish I had this because I don't. And I know I don't have this and I don't have it because of all of these reasons. And that's what the universe keeps giving back to you and giving back to you. And I think that there's really important that there is actual science behind it, right? The reticular activating system
Yeah.
is all about, when you want to buy a white car and then you see white cars all over the place.
Right.
I want to buy a Honda and then you see Hondas all over the place, right? It's because your brain is there to give you everything you want in life. Like, it's literally science. This is not some woo-woo thing, that it's literally backed by science.
Yeah.
And if you can just hold the vibration or know what you want in life, the universe absolutely brings it to you. But most people can't see it because of all the noise around them, right? Or they're working so, like I work with entrepreneurs, so they're working so hard in their business that they can't see all of these things that could possibly happen if they just were a little quieter. Quiet time is really hard. And when you're pushing too hard or you feel overworked or overwhelmed, or things aren't going your way, or you're really far in debt, the best thing to do is to step away, which is so hard because you think, let me work harder. And truthfully, what you need to do is stop everything you're doing and go into silence. And that's when it starts to react again.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I think we're kind of programmed to be in action mode
Yes.
so much of the time, and always
Yeah.
thinking about I have to figure this out. I have to know what to do. I have to have a plan. I have to have action steps. I need to do this, and this, and this, and this, and then.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I think it does start from that place. I think silence is really that first level of creativity for me anyway, is the silent moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes of silence. It could be like a split second of silence, but all of a sudden there's an insight or an inspiration that comes, and it's like that then influences my action, rather
Yeah.
than me trying to, figure it all out and plan it out ahead of time and then order my steps. Doesn't
Yeah.
seem to work for me.
Right. And for most people that are hearing, they probably think, oh, I can't meditate. I can't meditate. I don't meditate. I can't meditate. I don't meditate the traditional way that,
Yeah.
people talk about meditating. But I do know that, especially when I'm at the beach, a beach is a very magical place for me. I don't even have to physically be on the beach. I have a beach house that I could literally just be sitting in the living room. And that's where the house came from. I was literally just sitting on my couch alone. And I was like, boosh, everything just changed. Right. So I know that down there, I'm very inspirational. That's where, when I write my books, that's where I go. It's just a very inspirational space for me.
Yeah.
People can have a corner in their house, or I also know that I take breaks and I wash dishes. Washing dishes to me is a very repetitive, non-thinking kind of place. Driving a car, I love to drive. I could drive for hours and hours and hours and hours. And that's where I contemplate some of my biggest ideas. So it's not really quiet, like sitting on the couch that people are thinking. It could be whatever it is that gives you space, space from your kids, space from your spouse, space from your partner, like whatever that quiet is for you. For
Yeah.
me, I tend to have to be doing or concentrate on something else. That's why so many people have those aha moments in the shower.
Yeah.
It's because all of your guard is down. You're just going into that relaxing space. I used to have a hot tub and I used to just lay in there and could think. Right. It's quiet moments that allow all of this stuff to come forward.
Yeah. You and I have so many things in common. It's like you were describing washing dishes and driving and the shower and all of that. And I think that there is so much truth to that experience. It's like when we do mundane things and our mind is allowed to not fixate,
Yes.
all of a sudden something else can happen,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Could be cooking too. Like it used to be cooking for me. Now cooking is not as, ever since COVID, cooking is not relaxing to me. I just used to like cook stews and spots. Like I used to just cook all day but then I had to cook because everyone was home. So
Yeah.
cooking does not do it for me, but it doesn't matter it's running for some people, right? It could be not for me, by the way, but hiking is actually a big one for me.
I think one of the things that you keep touching on that really strikes me is that you're talking, I mean, of course, in law of attraction circles, they talk about being in a state of allowing.
Yes.
And I think that there's what we need to understand is that the opposite of allowing is resistance. It's like, and the way that I envision it is that there's a continuum of resistance of like you're 100% resistant, 100% allowing, and at any given time, you're somewhere on that continuum, right?
Yeah.
And what I find is that when I'm in those states of mind with washing dishes and driving and things like that, that I'm actually more on the allowing side, just naturally. It's
Yep.
like it's not a forced thing. It's just that's where I am because my body is otherwise occupied. And
Relax.
now
Yeah.
my mind can go where it needs to go, right? And so the thing that I would ask is like, how can you tell when you're starting to enter into a higher state of resistance?
Resistance?
Yeah.
When it doesn't feel good. I was like thinking of the word. Resistance is when I'm trying to think of like one word people would get. To me, it just doesn't feel good. I don't want to do it. Right? If there's any doubt around it at all, you are in resistance.
There you go.
There's something there that is not 100%. If it's not a yes, then it's a no.
Yeah.
Right? I should say if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Even if like people say, hey, you want to go to a party? And you're like, yeah, I'll go. That's actually resistance. You don't really want to go. Right? So that's what you have to say. Is it a hell yes?
I love it.
Hmm.
One of the things that you've said hell yes to in the last little while is the idea of worldwide adventures. And you've scheduled one for, I believe it's next summer.
Yes.
That you're very excited about. Can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, where did the idea come from?
Yeah, so I have wanted to travel since I'm a single mom of 3 kids. Now that they're older, I can travel, but for years I couldn't really travel, and I really wanted that to be like the next chapter, next phase of my life. And as I started to look, because I'm a single unmarried woman, that I started to be like, could I go with groups? Do I go, like, how do I do this? And there's friends I really don't want to travel with, right?
Yeah.
Traveling to me is a very personal experience. And there's things that I like to experience. I love history. I love a lot of things. And I was looking at travel groups and I was like, I don't know. And what if I sign up and I really hate the experience and I've just spent thousands of dollars, right?
Right.
Or something like that. So in 2020, I was talking to a travel agent, and she was saying, I could do group trips, we can do all these things. And I decided this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to attach it to my business and make it these soul excursions, and they'll be my people, right? I'll still get a single room, but they're my people. And so that's how it started actually back in 2020. We actually, I'm trying to think, I don't know if we put it at the end of 2019 or if it was like February of 2020. I think it was more like February of 2020. Our first thing was going to be October 2020 to Greece.
Yeah.
We were going to explore the different islands. We had put together these dinner sailing and this beautiful, beautiful trip. And we had a bunch of people that were going, and then pandemic. And then with all the vaccines and everything, they wanted everyone, and I was like, we're out. And then we pushed it down a year to 2021, and they still wanted all the vaccines and everything. I'm like, I'm not playing the game because I don't want to be a group leader. I didn't want to make it hard, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want any resistance. I was like, those are supposed to be there, we'll be there. I'm not putting restrictions on it. So, and it didn't work out. So eventually I just canceled and took a loss, and because it didn't feel in alignment. And the ends of this past year, that same woman called me back and she's like, are you thinking about Greece? And I'm like, it is so time to travel, right? And the word soul adventures came to me, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be big. Let's do some soul adventures with soul people. And we have also gone to more of a high end. We attract more high end, highly successful people now. So it's like a different group of people. But as I'm stepping into this luxury lifestyle and
Yeah.
soul nourishing place in my life, I'm like, these are the people I'm going to attract. So yeah, so we're doing our first trip, like our launch trip, and our inaugural trip in July of 2024, and we're going to start in Budapest, and we're taking a river cruise down the Danube, right to Budapest. So Czech Republic, Austria, Germany. Yeah, so I think with the 3 days in Prague, it's about 11 days.
Wow. So Budapest to Prague,
Yes, Budapest to Prague.
11 days.
And a luxury river cruise, only about 100 people are on it.
Yeah.
We have our own chefs and entertainment and wine, and it's all included. It's very high end. But every single day, we have at least 3 excursions you can choose from.
Wow.
So you don't always have to be with the same people. You can say, hey, I want to hike today, or hey, I want to bike, or hey, I want to sit on the cruise ship, or whatever you feel like doing. You have so much room to just be. And I think that's kind of the fun. I'm a big history and cultural person, so the idea that I could hit a lot of countries and really learn some culture was very important to me. So that's what we're doing.
Can you talk a little bit about the membership program?
Yeah, so the Natural Life Business Partnership has we're membership based. The best one is the free one. It is for soul aligned entrepreneurs, so it doesn't matter what you do. It is really industry agnostic. It's just who you are as a person. And we say we really dovetail science and soul. Those are the people that we tend to attract, and those that really want professional credibility. Most have come out of a corporate job, not all, but most have come out of a corporate job and are now entrepreneurs trying to figure it out. Right now, our membership, I think we have over 12 countries in our membership. We are global, and it's really about co-creating and supporting each other as we grow our businesses. Now, we have the free one. And then we have 2 premium level memberships. One is all about our micro communities where members are teaching members. It could be marketing, it could be messaging, it could be mindset. We have one called Business by Design, which is all about your human design. We had one yesterday. It was just about, networking, your intro. The free one includes networking and master classes that are all taught by our membership. So the whole membership is really about teaching others to be creative but successful. It's about building wealth because that's how we have creative impact in the world, right? That's how we create it. And our highest level are have masterminds and accountability triads. I hand match you with people to work with, but it's really about showing up. It's really about the people you are surrounding yourself with. Because in this community, right, you have highly successful people that are building multi-million-dollar businesses in a place that's in alignment. So we do business differently, right? Not what I was taught in business school, but you have to learn how to read a profit and loss statement and all of the other stuff. But we also talk a lot about attraction. Who are you attracting? Not who are you, who's in your funnel. But who are you attracting? Who are you selling to? How are you pricing things? Strategy and operations is a part of any business. We just also happen to be very, very soulful people, but we are highly successful CEOs too.
Well, if people want to find out about any of these things, let's give them your website.
Yeah. So Soul Professional, SOUL professional.com. You could get everything, all of our free stuff, our meet and greets to learn more. You can meet me and then we'll have a discussion about stuff at our meet and greets. You can go to Soul Adventures. Everything's on that website. Everything about me, everything we do is all there.
Excellent. Well, Camille, this has been it's been a whirlwind. First of all, it's gone so quickly, and it's been a fascinating and intriguing conversation for me. And I just appreciate your candor about your own experience and your willingness to reveal some of the difficult places as well as the triumphs that you've experienced. And I just wish you all the best in your new home.
Thank you. I'm excited about it. Yeah, thank you so much.
So folks, soulprofessional.com, Camille Miller, this has been a wonderful conversation. I can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you, Franklin.
Thanks for listening to Your Own Best Company. If you enjoyed the show, would you do me a favor and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast host? If you really love it, leave me a review or share it with your circles. If you feel like your career is reaching a dead end, or you're feeling a deep sense of dissatisfaction in your work right now, I help people discover their gifts and then find or create new opportunities that are the best fit for their talent, experience, and lifestyle. Email me at coaching@franklintaggart.com for more information. I also help people start, finish, and launch creative projects, and I offer an ongoing marketing mastermind for solopreneurs and freelancers. More information on these programs and services can be found at franklintaggart.com. Thanks again for spending this time with me.